Hi, I'm Jacob. I'm 24 years old. I'm just graduated from BYU. I graduated in English Language and Linguistics. I graduated with University in Latin Honors, and I'm a gay Mormon. Growing up, I think I always knew that I was different somehow. I grew up and I was incredibly sensitive, and I was incredibly concerned about other people's welfare, and I never really connected why I had those feelings with myself. I never really thought about what that meant necessarily. But as I grew up, I realized I was very different from my peers. I realized that lots of my peers were developing crushes on women, and I was like, I'm not really that interested. But growing up, I grew up as the youngest of 7 children, and the youngest by a lot, actually. My oldest sibling is about 20 years older than me, and I felt these high expectations that I had from my parents and from the rest of my siblings, because they're all very well accomplished. I felt these expectations to really do the best that I could, and I wanted to be that perfect child, I guess you could say, and that was really hard to live up to that expectation. And as I got older, I started to realize that I probably was gay, and for me that was kind of heartbreaking to realize that I wasn't going to have the life that my parents or that my siblings wanted for me. And it was really sad. It was devastating to me. And often when I talk about my story, I think how language is so limiting, how it doesn't really express the feelings that we have or the things that we experience. I think of the story in the Book of Mormon where Jesus is praying, and the writers of the scriptures actually mention that they could not write the words that he used. I feel like sometimes language is like a prison in some ways because it limits us. It doesn't express the full range of the human experience. And so as I was growing up, I didn't have the words to express what I was feeling, and that's really hard. That's a lonely place to be. It's really lonely to think that you can't use language to say what you're feeling or to help others understand how you feel. And a lot of this led to doubts within my faith. I wasn't terribly believing when I was a teenager because it just seemed easier to not believe. It just seemed easier to give up on that aspect of myself and, abandon the things that I had been taught all along. But God has a way of doing things a little differently, I think. As I kind of started to reflect on my experiences in the church and reflect on my experiences with God, I started to realize that there was something about Mormonism that I missed so much. And I still realized that I was probably gay. I kind of shoved it to the back of my brain, but I realized that I probably still was gay. But I decided that I was going to try and do what God wanted me to do, and that was really difficult for me. I decided to serve a mission. I served a mission in Thailand. And my mission was a life-changing experience. I know a lot of Mormon missionaries say that, but I grew to love a culture and a people that I had never, ever really heard about. I grew to see them as children of our heavenly parents in such a profound way. It was really touching to see how when we understand who we are, it changes how we view ourselves and how we view the world around us. I saw people understand their potential and their heritage as children of God. And that really made me reflect on how I felt about myself, because I still had that secret that I was hiding, that shame that I had. And I had a really hard time with it during the second half of my mission, actually. And I remember one night when I was serving in a rural area in the northeast of Thailand, I came out to my zone leader. He was not the first person that I'd come out to on my mission. I came out to several other people, but I came out to him and I just started to bawl because I just felt like there was no solution. There was no possible answer for me. I felt like, what am I going to do? There's no place for me in the church. There's no place for me outside of the church. I can't sacrifice one part of my identity for another part of my identity. And I remember he gave me a blessing that day, and it was a really spiritual experience for me to think that this man who, he did not understand my experience in any sense of the word. He was very much, a straight man. He had never experienced attraction of the same sex, but he took the time to understand what I felt or how I felt. And it was so meaningful to me that he would be willing to empathize with me and support me. And I think that's what I've learned is that we really need to be there for other people. We need to be there to build that love that we need in our community. When I came back from my mission, I realized that the feelings weren't going to go away. I think part of me had hoped that maybe if I had served an honorable mission, or if I worked really hard, or if I prayed hard enough, that it would just go away, and that's just not the way that it works. And as I came to terms with my sexuality, it's been difficult. It's been really, really difficult. I actually recently just came out to my parents, and that was a good experience in a lot of ways, but it was still really hard. In fact, in the past couple of months, I've been coming out more and more to people, and that's why I've decided to participate in this, is because it's so important for us to understand the experiences of gay Mormons in the church, because I love the church with all my heart. I really do. And it's really hard for me sometimes when I feel like the church doesn't love me back. And that is so heartbreaking to me, to think that anyone has to feel that anyone has to feel like something that they love so much doesn't love them back. As I've come out to people, one thing that I've come to realize is that they just love me for me. And that's the best part, is that it doesn't change who I am. It's not like the core part of my identity, but it's part of who I am. And as people have accepted that, they've realized that maybe their worldview isn't as clear-cut as they thought it was. I think that as we come to understand the perspectives of other people, and as we come to realize that we all have different experiences, and we come together and share those experiences, even though that language can be so limiting, we can learn so much from one another. And I feel that as we do these things, that we'll really grow together. I remember actually right before I graduated from BYU in April, I came out to a friend of mine, and she said to me, "I know that you're gay, and that's okay, but I really appreciate how brave you are for trying to be a gay Mormon." And that's kind of been the theme that's been running through my head as I've been coming out to people, and as I've been trying to be more open about things like this, is we've got to be brave. And that's really hard sometimes, because we don't know what other people will say. We don't know how other people will feel. But it's what we have to do. It's what we have to do because it's what God has asked me to do. And I think a lot of people have this misconception that gay Mormons just want the church to change because it just would be easier for them, or it just would be convenient for them. I want the church to just understand that we love the church and that we want to try our best to work within the framework of it, because we have testimonies, we have faith. Our faith is a little complicated sometimes. I know my faith is very complicated, but I really do have faith, and I really do believe that our Heavenly Parents care for all of us, and we're here to make life better for one another. We're here to build that love. We're here to help one another and lift one another up, and that's the most valuable lesson that I've learned, is we need to build love. And as we build that love, we'll come to see that we're really not all that different. We all have certain needs and wants and desires and heartaches, but we all need love. And that's what gay Mormons need, that's what straight Mormons need, that's what everyone in this world needs, is they need someone who can love them and care for them. And as we reflect on the experiences of others, we'll grow to have more empathy, because we'll realize that others are trying just as hard as we are. I think about how many times I've been in church, and how many hurtful things have been said, and how many hurtful things have just been said in society about LGBTQ people. And it's hard, but I think that how we react to the things that people say is critical. We have an opportunity, like I said, to build that love and to change people's hearts. I actually have a friend who came with me today. We met on a study abroad, and when I came out to him, he was very understanding, and it was very great, but he told me that his worldview has basically been changed by seeing what I've done and by seeing how I've tried to live within the framework of the church. And I hope to be able to do that for other people, to show other people that we're just like you, and we just need that love, and we just need that empathy, and we want to belong with you because we're all saints, and we're all trying our best, and that's the message that I have to share.